We just got done doing a video with Natalie up north talking about summertime tactics. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video and subscribe for a chance to win.
Hey everyone, I found him. Luke Clausen, welcome to the Nattie Up North channel.
Thank you for having me.
We're happy to have you here. Well, as you guys know and as you know, mostly we're talking today about your favorite summer fishing tactics. But before that, we got a little surprise for you guys. It's Luke's idea. We're gonna do a giveaway today. So Luke, what are we giving away?
I'm going to take one of my reels, so whoever wins can pick if they want a bait caster or a spinning reel, Corrado K or a Stratex CI4, and somebody's going to win one.
And it's one of the ones that you've actually used and done
one of the
some
ones
work
I've
with.
used this year, made some money with, yeah.
Awesome. So guys, in order to be entered into this contest, again, for a reel of your choosing, all you need to do is be subscribed to both of our channels. So for mine, it's super easy. You can just click the little subscribe button on top, and then I'll leave a link to Luke's channel in the description below. And you can just leave a comment on both of our videos with your very favorite way to catch fish during the summer. Bass fishing would be great, but if you don't catch bass, you can leave your favorite way to catch a different kind of fish, and that counts too. I'll put those rules in the description below, and good luck to you all. All right, well, let's talk about some summer fishing. So you brought some setups.
I did bring a few.
Which should we start with today?
Let's start with the frog. That's one of the funnest baits to throw this time of year. And it's something that, you know, the floating frog. This is a little smaller one, actually. I get a lot more bites on a smaller one than I do a full-size one. And it's so fun to throw a frog. Any way to get more bites on it, it's obviously really good. A little bit harder to work, harder to cast, but definitely gets more bites. So that's one of the funnest baits to fish in the spring. And it doesn't have to be around grass. Everybody always thought for a long time that a frog had to be on matted vegetation. And we've seen a lot of guys like Dean Rojas. There's been a pile of guys that skip it in shade pockets, under docks. Yep. It's really a universal topwater bait that's super fun to throw. It really works all summer in most places, whether it's around bluegill beds, shade, over grass. There's always some fish shallow. Regardless where you live, there's gonna be some fish shallow, and a frog is a good choice for it.
So this is my favorite way to catch fish in the summer too, but I will say for both myself and I think a lot of people at home, it's as you said, it's challenging. You can get those big blow-ups, but actually getting the hook set and landing those fish can be difficult. So what are some tips for actually capitalizing and making those hooks stick when you see that blow-up?
The best thing I can tell people is settle your nerves. Everybody, you see a blow-up, and a lot of times bass are really explosive on a frog. There's times they just slurp it, but the ones you miss are the ones that really explode on it. Everybody wants to snatch right away. It's the worst thing you can do. I use a high-speed reel, that Corrado K. I like a 50 or 65 pound braid, and really just start reeling when that happens. And with braid, you can feel when a fish has it. So you'll feel it start to load up if it has it. If it doesn't, you can stop and start working it again. A lot of times get that fish to come back. Once that frog leaves that area, a lot of times they don't want to blow up on it again, so it's twofold. You miss the fish once, and you also miss a second opportunity for them to come get it again. Again, the braid's really important. One thing I do with the frog, though, is I use a lot lighter rod. Like this is an 854 JWR, and it really helps you cast a frog in places where fish live. We grew up thinking you needed a broomstick. Frog fishing, you need something that doesn't bend. You're just going to winch them out everywhere.
That's kind of what I use. This is good to know.
Yeah, the reality is with something that the tip loads a little bit, you can get a lot more speed on your frog, skip it in a lot of places, work it a lot easier. You get a lot more bites. And with braid, you don't have the stretch. So you don't need that stiff of a rod to really set the hook, and you're just a lot more efficient at fishing the frog.
How about the legs?
So these are actually cut a little bit.
Okay.
I like them probably about like that long most of the time. So about the length of the frog. If you made the legs as long as the frog body itself, regardless of the size of the frog. One thing is, the longer the legs, the easier a frog works. So the legs create more resistance, causing the frog to let it go side to side a lot more. So if you're in a situation where there's bedding fish, there's times I'll actually use longer legs, which you think the opposite. A fish is going to nip at and get the legs. But you can get a bait to literally work in this big of an area. It'll work 6 or 7 times with longer legs than you can with shorter legs. The other thing on mats, sometimes I'll just plug the legs all together.
Okay.
If you're on heavy mats, put some weight on it. The fish can't even see the frog at that point. So it's just an indentation in the mat coming over their head. And without legs, you end up with less water leaking. You can seal a lot of the frog off. You need some air to get out, obviously, for it to collapse. So I don't seal the bottom all the way. Some mended on there, though, will help quite a bit with getting the frog to stay on top more and more casts. Yeah, frogs are fun. They're exciting. It's something that's so visual. Like, it's animated. You're sitting there, like, you're watching it go, like, I can just imagine this thing just getting crushed. Yeah. So
when it happens, there's nothing like it.
The anticipation is what's the best thing about it. And there's times a 12-incher will come up and just smoke it, and it looks like a giant. And you got it in the grass, and you get it in, you're like, oh, it wasn't very big. That was still exciting.
Exactly.
You know, your heart's going. So it's really fun fishing a frog. And again, that's something that, man, just about anywhere up north, you can catch fish on a frog in the summer.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, what's next?
Well, the bladed jig. This is a Z-Man jackhammer. This is a green pumpkin one, the elusive green pumpkin jackhammer that I think everybody owns one now. It's became super popular. I actually like the Project Z ChatterBait by Z-Man really well too. This happens to be the one I've tied on because it has a little bit smaller profile. I've been catching smallmouth on it, and that's something that you don't hear a lot about is people fishing for smallmouth in spots with the ChatterBait as much as largemouth, and it really is a all species bait. Green pumpkin's hard to beat. When you're around shad, it works good, but in the summer, a lot of times throwing this, we're shallow, and I like something still pretty natural. That green pumpkin, it gets a lot of bites when the water's warm still too. And grass is a situation that always works around, but again, those brim, rocks, anything like that, it just gets a lot of bites. Something that I definitely wouldn't throw when it's slick like this. The water's clear, but you get some conditions or some watercolor. Just a bait I have tied on most of the year, whether it's spring, summer, or fall. And definitely have it on in the summer too.
What setup do you have here?
This is a 844. MBR 844 is a Conquest by G. Loomis. It is a heavier rod than a lot of people use with a bladed jig chatterbait. I like a little bit stiffer rod. I just feel like I have a lot more control in casting it, especially in areas where you're around cover type places. So this is a 7-foot heavy rod, but I can skip it really well. I use a high-speed reel, and this is a bait that people struggle to catch fish on. With a chatterbait, what happens is the fish eats that, and what happens is that blade has to come like that before it comes out of their mouth. So you pull too hard, what happens is that blade opens their mouth, the hook comes out too. With this, I'll use a high-speed reel, and I don't jerk at all. I just start turning it faster and faster and faster until all of a sudden there's a fish jumping. And so it's something that, again, you need to kind of settle yourself down. You get a bite, just keep winding, and that you're going to land so many more fish than this jerking into them and setting the hook. You know, kind of a hard lesson we all learn in practice. We try to shake fish off. You hardly ever shake them off.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's the best way to hook them.
Yeah.
Just put a little resistance, and what happens is the hook just finds a home, and it gets, you know, you hook them, it doesn't come all the way out of their mouth. But this bait's especially important just because of the style of that blade, having to open up and hook them. And Corrado K again, I use a 16 or 20 pound Yozuri top knot fluorocarbon. I use a fluorocarbon with it all the time. I've tried it with braid, and it makes the problem a lot worse with having that bait come out of the fish's mouth. The game we're playing, you can't afford to lose a few, and there's a lot of money on the line. The competition's at such of a tight level, you lose a couple in a day, and you're a loser.
It can be a big impact.
Yeah, not very good.
Yeah.
Not very
we
good.
won't talk about that. It's
No,
more fun when they
I don't
hit.
like those days.
No.
Yeah, everybody.
As JT says, he likes catching better than fishing. I agree with him.
Yeah, so for me, it's figuring the fish out. Like, I like practice as good as the tournament.
Do you?
And I fish without a hook a lot.
Yeah.
But to figure them out and getting bites, it's like rewarding. Like, I got you. You know, it's like getting that bite is so much more fun. I've been to Mexico places where you catch one every cast. And it's just a no-brainer. Everybody's like, man, that sounds great. I'm tied to a tree, and we're in 20 feet of water, and I can throw a top water or fish a 3/4 ounce football jig on the bottom and catch a 4-pounder every cast. It's like there's no challenge. So to me, it's not that fun just to wind one in.
Yeah.
It's more about outsmarting the fish. That is the challenge for me. You know, we hunt and peck all day to try to find these fish, and it's rewarding when you figure out where they are and figure out how to get them to bite.
All you musky fishing fans out there, I'm sure that this resonates. I know it does for me. It's the chase that really makes it worth it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we put a lot of time and effort into it, and that's the reward. That bite on the end of your line, when you see your line jump or you're wanting to plug along, they just go slack and one has smoked it. You know, just that is the reward there. It's not the catching the fish. A lot of people that don't fish a lot think, well, it's really fun to fight a fish in. Yeah, to me, I'm kind of like, man, I'm just fighting one in. The exciting part was when it bit.
Yeah.
And so that's always the most fun for sure.
You outsmarted them.
Yeah, I got him. I got
Awesome.
him. Yeah.
Well, we got one more. So
One
what
more.
is left? I see a spinning setup.
Oh yeah, I love
Switching
spinning
gears.
rods. I love spinning rods, and I've just had a lot of success with spinning rods, and they're fun to always get bites on. And getting bites, that little guy right there is like the king of bites. It's Ned rig. This thing is like a blast to throw, because you can throw it and catch fish from 5-6 inches. I've caught quite a few 7-pounders on it.
Wow.
It's a bait that I've thrown up north at home a lot, and I've thrown it down south. And there's just situations where you get so many bites on this. It's kind of mind-boggling that big of fish are going to eat this little thing that really doesn't do a lot. This is Z-Man Elastec, so it's going to float off the bottom, but a lot of your bites come on the fall. It just spirals down. It's a bait you can catch a lot of fish deep. Clear water makes it better, but I've caught them in way dirtier water than I ever expected. Places that probably the first few times we've been filming with it, they're like, well, talk about the Ned rig a little bit. I'm like, all right, and throw it out there, and we're fishing in 12 inches of visibility. I'm throwing in 8 or 10 feet of water, and I catch them on it. I'm like, this is unbelievable. I never would have thought. And now I find myself throwing this bait a lot of places. You know, we're fishing a tournament up here now, and I would bet 90% of the field has one tied on.
Really?
Yeah. You know, it's something that they just bite. You know, when you're looking for bites, you get a lot of them, and you get in pressured situations a lot of times, and even just neutral fish. It's a really fun bait. That NRX 822 DSR drop shot rod, I throw that lighter rod a lot with that small hook. It just doesn't cause the hook to tear out. Of course, that's a 1/0 hook, so you're not going to have a lot of meat on the end of it. This is a 1/6 ounce jig head. Probably throw that more than anything, but I will throw a 1/10 quite a bit too. And as we get deeper, that 1/5 ounce, it's a great bait for dropping on fish you see vertically too. I've caught spots in South Alabama, and I've caught smallmouth in Canada vertically fishing with it too. But yeah, it's that softer rod, small hook, really helps a lot.
Let's take a look at the reel too.
Oh yeah, CI4 Stratic, best spinning reel ever made.
I was gonna say, is that your favorite?
I don't think anybody could even argue with that. You know, this reel, we went for a lot of years using spinning reels, and I tear a lot of stuff up. I'm not very easy on stuff at all. But these, I don't know that I've ever torn one up other than stepping on the reel handle and bending it.
There's not much you can do about that.
That's not really the reel's fault. But that the earlier version and this one, just bar none, the best spinning reel I know of. I've used a lot of them over the years, and they last me about a year. And I have some of these that are about 8 years old now, 7 or 8, whenever the first CI4s came out, and like they're still rolling.
Oh, good. I just got one a year ago, so
you got
I can
the rest
plan
of
on
your
it
lifetime.
for a while. Cool.
I mean, I fish a couple hundred days a year, and they last that long. So yeah, no, that's an amazing reel. And yeah, that's a fish catcher. Again, another great summertime bait. Just and pretty much anywhere you go, it's going to get you bites. If it's a grass lake, a deep lake, a clear lake, you name it, I'm probably going to have one of these tied on. I mean, if it was a complete mud hole, I may not, but I probably still have one tied on just in case, because I really feel like you may catch a lot of little fish. You may not catch any good ones in that particular lake, but you're going to keep them honest. If they're around, it's like hard to resist that little thing.
All right, before we let you go, we're going to get to know you a little bit better off the water. So I got a couple questions for you.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Who is your favorite childhood fishing hero?
When I was young, it was Babe Winkleman. He used to have a show back in the day, and he's from up north here somewhere, Minnesota, something like that. Anyway, I was at a show, hanging around, thought he was cool. Anyway, he gave me a book and signed it, so I thought, this guy's really cool. It was like 7 or 8 years old, and I just remember reading that as a kid.
Hero ever since?
I think things have changed, but yeah, back then it was.
We'll take it.
Yeah,
Love it.
right.
How about, what's your favorite place to travel to?
You know, me and my wife go to Mexico. We went to a place down in San Jose del Cabo on our honeymoon. Been a couple times. I really like it just because it's right on the beach, and I can go fish in the surf every morning. That's something I love, to get up and walk out and do something different like that. Cast in the surf, and you never know what you're going to catch.
What's your favorite species other than bass?
Oh, something in the salt for sure. I would probably say snook.
Snook?
Snook are kind of like the saltwater bass, the explosive blow-ups. You can fish around cover, cool baits, and they fight extremely hard.
Well, if you guys have been watching my channel, you know that I too love snook, or at least targeting them, because I've yet to catch one. But I'm due. I'm due this year. No, I've only gone a couple times, but this year.
I know a guy.
So in like 2 months, let's have this conversation over again, and I can tell you about how much I love snook.
All right,
too.
sounds good.
Favorite food?
Favorite food? I would have to say Mexican.
Mexican?
I like Mexican. It's so bad for you, but it's so good.
I love it too. And lastly, what's your favorite thing to do off the water?
I would have to say hunt. That is.
I thought you were going to say that.
It's a common answer, right? I spend all fall, starting in September, even late August. I may antelope hunt in late August if I get time, but it'll be elk into September, mule deer. October rolls around, it'll be pheasants, quail, ducks, geese. November will be Midwest, probably Illinois whitetails.
Sure.
You know, in December it'll be back to bird hunting again. It's always something. And it's kind of like my passion in the fall. And by the time January rolls around, I'm so excited to go fishing. But every year about August, I'm like, I can't wait to go hunt. You know, it's just like this rotation, because you get enough of it. I do a lot of both of them, and by the end of it, you're ready to do something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, refreshing.
Nice. And you do some bow hunting too?
Yeah, I bow hunt
that's
mostly. I
primary,
do a
okay.
little bit of rifle hunting. It's mostly long range stuff I got into. Just wanting to shoot stuff at 1,000 yards. So we'll go try to shoot antelope at long range and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's all archery for the big game stuff.
Awesome. Well, thanks for talking to us. I know I learned a lot today, so I'm sure the folks at home did too. This has been fun.
Yeah, it has. We'll have to do it again.
We will.
That was a good time. Thanks for having me.
Good luck the rest of the week.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
If you're looking to purchase any of this tackle, check out tacklewarehouse.com, links below.